What defines a good father in a non-religious, non-forced dissonance world? Imagine this scenario. Back in the day when my kids were very young, I showed them our electric stove in the kitchen and I said, "Kids, don't touch these burners. It'll hurt real bad." Now the kids are so young, they have no real life experience to understand what hurt real bad really means. But that's okay. I plow forward. I turn on the burner. I pull up the kitchen step stool so they can step up and see how the burner turns beautiful bright orange, and I see their eyes light up as they see it. I warn them again, don't touch it. I tell them I have to leave, even though I know our capricious house guest that likes to entice my children into doing precocious things is still in the house. Upon returning, I find that the kids have in fact touched the burner and are in deep, deep pain. The first thing I say is, "I told you not to touch it." As I salve their wounds out of the goodness of my heart, I command them to give me effusive thanks and sing songs about me like, "You're a good, good father," and to confess their sins and tell me they're terrible people for touching the stove. And I tell them I will always love them, but I will know forevermore that they are depraved and sinners, and that everything good they try for the rest of their life will be filthy rags. The same will be true of their offspring and their offspring's offspring and everybody birthed in their lineage forevermore. And if any of those generations don't thank me enough for all I do for them, and confess enough that they are bad for all they do, or sing enough songs about me, I will set them on fire. No, wait. I will allow them to walk into a fire that I make because I'm not responsible for any of it. In that scenario, would you say I was a good father? No. I would be a negligent, narcissistic traumatizer of children. That story almost exactly parallels the Evangelical translation of the Genesis story of Adam and Eve in the Hebrew Torah. And this is the story we tell children about God. We're not allowed to tell children about queerness, but these stories of a loving God that will put us in a lake of fire if we don't worship him enough and tell him we're horrible, we tell to children at the ages of 3, 4, 5, 6 and expect them to make a decision to keep from going to hell. And they try hard to gain pleasure with this good father who does nothing but judge them from the throne room of heaven. That is a traumatizing existence. And because dad is the representation of God to them on earth, providing the housing and food that they need to survive, they're constantly afraid that maybe that is in jeopardy if they don't do the right thing as well. It's a horrifying, traumatizing belief system that is not only imposed on so many children in American Christian homes, but now in states like Oklahoma is being imposed into our public school classrooms. A God that's not a good father, but rather a negligent, narcissistic child traumatizer. John 3:16 is one of the best known verses in the Bible, but very few people know John 3:17, which says Jesus' purpose in the world was not to condemn people, but to sozo them, to reconcile them to their true identity. Not to tell them they're awful, but to tell them they're amazing. Jesus said of God as a good father, when asked for an egg for breakfast, he's not going to give them a snake, or when they ask for bread, he's not going to give them a stone. Yet we teach all the time in evangelicalism that the way to heaven is narrow and only a few are going to get there. Or that if you do the wrong thing at the wrong moment, the rapture can happen and you'll be left behind by your loving, good father. Why do Christians love to focus on the terrible father verses and ignore the good ones? Romans 3 says if Adam's sinful act of Genesis impacts every human being in the world, how much more will Jesus' righteous act impact everyone? In other words, it's saying this evangelical belief that Adam's sin makes everyone a sinner, as I told my children that all of their children's children will be sinners because they touched the stove. But we believe Jesus' act only impacts those who say a magic prayer or join the right church. Then we're declaring Adam's act superior to the one of Jesus. And that, even in American evangelicalism, is heresy. To those who aren't stuck in this dissonant principality of evangelical belief, there is no God in heaven sitting up there mad at you, ready to let you walk into a fire he created for some unbelievable reason to punish you for the proclivities he created in you that violate the random laws he created to send people into that fiery place that he will stoke for all eternity while he imperviously ignores your screams and cries and pain. That's not a good father. God is not mad at you. Don't let any religion, politician, or controlling narcissistic religious leader tell you otherwise. There is an amazing spirituality, and its movement is reaching beyond the walls of the American Christian church. Let's pursue this 21st century access to divine love and wisdom together. For more, including my new Deconstruction U classes that are coming soon, check out my website at pastor-paul.com.